All right, what's up, man?
How's it going?
Welcome to the new podcast room.
I'm loving it, man.
The beginnings of it. You get to see as we transform here over time and put more and more in here. But this is going to be the spot.
It's fun, right?
So hopefully we'll invite you back for the future too.
Please, I want to get invited. Please,
Yeah.
Sarah, make sure it happens, please. Put it on the calendar.
Oh, I've just been reading this.
So wanted to chat with you today about where we are in the market, what you're seeing, but then more importantly, I wanted to chat with you about renting versus owning.
Yeah.
And the benefits, the consequences, the negatives, all of it, so that people get a full picture and can make the decision that's best for them.
Let's do it. I love it.
Awesome.
I love it.
So what are you seeing in the market right now?
I'm seeing for buyers specifically, they're really hesitant still because they still think there's going to be this big crash where rates are going to go back to 2%, 3%.
Yeah.
And honestly, we don't know. We don't have a crystal ball. We can just go based off of facts and what we see in front of us.
I'll tell you, I'm seeing multiple offers right now.
So it's good. It's great right now.
In 500,000 and below, it is competitive all over again.
There you go, guys.
So we're seeing multiple offers again on properties. So I'm not sure that will last. It's probably a consequence of mortgage rates coming down and people saying, okay, let's strike while it looks good.
Yeah.
But we're starting to see some activity again.
So
I was showing a home to a buyer yesterday, and out the door were 2 buyers waiting. So when was the last time we saw that? I mean,
not too long ago.
7-8 months ago?
Yeah.
I mean, that's wild that
yes.
and the home's off market, not even listed yet. So, interesting.
When we try to we want to tell our clients hey, if you're in a good place, if you've got your finances in order, if your credit is good, if you have a stable job, you're going to rent regardless, right? So why not try to get approved for a home?
All right, that's the podcast right there. I mean, that's what I was going to end with.
Yeah. Damn it, I'm sorry.
So look forward to all the reasonings why that's the case.
I've said this countless times because it's so true. But they're still like, hey, it's gonna be 2008 again.
Right.
It's gonna be a crash, and this is gonna.
Well, what happens in your perspective? Let's say the Fed raises rates to 6%, like they've been talking about targeting. What do you think is going to happen with mortgages? What do you think is going to happen with real estate? Do you think there's going to be a pretty big consequence? Like, how much more could we go?
Well, I follow off of people that are a lot smarter than me, right? So I'm educated by Barry Habib, who is like the godfather of mortgages and what's going to happen.
Yep.
And he thinks, and I agree, that the feds are good where we're at right now. He doesn't think that we'll have any more rate increases for the time being, because he's confident that everything is good, everything looks good, the reports are coming back pretty solid, and he thinks, and I agree, that rates will probably drop to the low 5s, high 4s by this year. So what's going to happen when that happens? All the people that are on the sideline are going to come back in, right? Hey, rates are in the 4s, rates are in the low 5s.
Yeah.
Let's get back in the market.
So I think what I'm seeing, personal perspective, I'm not as good as relying on other people as I should be, right? But I think the Fed's probably going to do another couple increases because a lot of the economic numbers still look very strong, and so they're still trying to slow us down. It's what we talked about in one of our old podcasts where I said they're going to go a little bit too far. I think that rates will probably continue to tick up for a little bit, and we could see another 5% pullback from where we're at, is where my gut tells me we're going to go. However, I think that the second half of this year, I think we're going to see rates go down. I think they're going to realize the mistake, and we could even see rates start to tick down because we will have officially entered a recession. So sometime in the second half of this year, I think we see rates start to tick down.
And do you think it'll be overnight or gradually?
Gradual.
Okay.
And I think, so I would, if I were to throw my crystal ball out there and take a wild shot in the dark that's going to be way off probably, I would say that rates end the year in the mid-5s.
That would be nice.
I would say that they end the year in the mid-5s. That would be my my
ball
wild
prediction.
shot in the dark in all this crazy chaos that's happening.
Yeah.
Of unknown, I would say that's where I'm estimating by the end, but I think we're going to go up before that.
I think that's a good guesstimation or a good crystal ball guess.
So you know that the 10-year bond has fallen off a cliff recently, which projects, it means that investors are betting that rates are going to go down. So that just happened. So investors now, in large part, are saying rates are going to go down sooner than we anticipate. So sometime in the next year. So a lot of investors are saying it. And now there's major institutions that are coming out, and the way that they're looking at it, they're saying the second half of the year, rates are going to be lower than they are right now. So major institutions, and a lot of people are telling me I'm wrong in this situation. I'm the one who's incorrect, and that rates are not going to go up, and that they're going to go down sooner than we think. I could be wrong in this situation, and they all could be right. I'm just telling you my gut.
But I think you guys are both coming to the same conclusion, where rates are going to be in the mid to low 5s. But you think they're going to go up even further and then come back down.
Yeah.
I think I might have to disagree with you.
I know.
But you can shoot me a text and be like, hey, look,
Yeah.
I was right.
Well, we'll have it on record.
Yeah, you'll just send me this and like, hey, we talked about it.
Yeah. So that brings us to the big point of renting versus buying. So, I looked at some numbers here. 40% of renters pay over 35% of their income on housing. And the median rent in Nevada is $2,150. That's the median rent. And you'll know this answer better than me, but a mortgage on a $430,000 home, which is the median home roughly in the area right now, with 5% down is roughly $2,800 a month.
You're pretty spot on. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So rent on a similar home is anywhere between $2,300 and $2,600 a month. So the rent to own right now, if you look at purely a monthly number, it could not make sense for some people, because they're saying, well, it's $200 to $500 more expensive for me to own a property.
Correct.
So that's something that I think people are considering.
Yes.
Historically, when you look at some numbers, rent equates pretty well to the median home price mortgage payment, and that's a pretty balanced market. But we've seen some drastic changes in real estate that are kind of nuts. What I will say right now, and why I think there's still potential for a little bit of a pullback, is that house prices are higher now versus the median income, so in relationship to the median income, than they were in 2007.
That's crazy.
So right now, home prices in relationship to the median income are higher than they were in 2007. So I would say...
So put it in pretend I'm a fifth grader. What does that mean for people that are renting or people that are on the fence, right? Or what?
Well, this is the meat of the issue. You're kind of stuck, whether you're renting or purchasing, in having a more expensive housing environment. If you are renting a home, rent has increased 8.85% on average every year for the last 40 years. So what that means is that rent is increasing faster than appreciation has happened on homes. So rent is outpacing the price of buying a home, and it has for the last 40 years on average. Those are strong numbers to rely on. So renting is becoming less affordable. Housing is becoming less affordable. We're in a situation where purchasing a home is more expensive in comparison to your income than it was in 2007. I could immediately translate that to renting a home is more expensive than it was in relationship to your income also in 2007. So whether you're renting or owning, it's now more expensive in housing than it was in 2007.
So it goes back to kind of what we started the podcast with. If you're in a good place, if you can afford it, and there's programs that can help people.
There's down payment assistance.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
You get some skin in the game. Take.
I have a question.
Yeah, we've got a question.
Yeah.
Well, what about assumable mortgages in this market? Is that something people are doing? Do people just not know about, or how is that affecting people?
You would probably see more of that than I would.
People are starting to advertise assumable mortgages because sellers especially on VA or FHA, have locked in rates of like 2%, 3%, 4%.
Yeah.
And so they may have a ton of equity, and they might be like, all right, let's sell this thing. And you can assume their mortgage, which is locked in at 3.125% for the next 25 years.
Yeah.
You can assume their mortgage, and then the difference you can get a second mortgage on. And so on the second mortgage, you're only paying 5.5% or 6% on that portion of it. But on the first $200,000, you're paying 3.25%, which drastically decreases your mortgage payment every month. So assumable mortgages could be a great way to help sell your home if you're a seller in this market, but it's also a great avenue for buyers who are on the cusp of affordability or not.
And it also allows you to buy more home than you currently could technically afford right now, because a 3% interest rate versus just say a 6% interest rate is a drastic change, as a drastic difference in your debt to income ratio, which is what we look at to determine if this person can, on paper, afford this house. So, and they're great options. Yeah.
So the burden of, so now let's get into the financial side of this, what it means to you if you are a renter or a homeowner. So in Nevada, the housing cost burden for renters is 51% on average of their monthly income. So renters in Nevada, 51% on average goes towards renting and housing.
That's a lot. Yeah, that is a lot.
Okay?
Yeah.
The burden for homeowners is 31%.
So you have some like breathing room. You still can
You have
eat
breathing
out
room.
sometimes.
And so the point here is, let's say you lock in that $2,800 a month payment on the $430,000 home at 5% down, and it's more expensive than what rent is at the moment. Over the long run, you're going to be one of those homeowners that in 10 years is having the financial burden of 31% of your income, most likely, maybe it'll go up a little bit, versus 51% of your income, and continuing to grow, because rents are going to continue to increase. It is a fact of this market over the long run. You know, maybe in the short term there's some market changes, but rents are going to continue to go up.
Yes.
You lock in that mortgage rate at whatever you can afford at the moment, whether it's a high mortgage rate or it's a low mortgage rate, you're locking it in for 30 years. And as long as you can afford it, your financial burden is going to be the same over the course of 30 years, whereas rent will go up. And you know, it's the anecdotal thing. Rent is 100% interest rate, right?
Yes. Yes.
It's 100%. You're not building any equity in your home. No. Even if you're overpaying on mortgage interest rate, you're overpaying. You're still paying yourself and building equity versus paying the
part of that payment is paying off the principal, and that in return is giving you equity, plus the appreciation you get, plus the tax write-offs and the incentives. Yeah. For me personally, it's a no-brainer, especially for what you said, 40 years, 8%, a little over 8%,
8.85%, almost
so
9%. Every year for 40 years on average.
So when do you think it'd be okay for an individual to rent?
I think it's 100% okay to rent if you're not financially able to purchase a home. So another thing to consider is it takes about $453 extra savings per month to save up for your down payment in Nevada. So if you can save an extra $450, $500 a month, you can save up for your first time average home payment. The crazy thing is, and this is a societal thing to consider here as commentary on affordability and financial situation. Couples, if you become a couple and you have dual income, you can purchase a home on average savings. It takes you about 1.1, 1.2 years to save up to purchase your first home if you're a couple. If you're an individual, depending on the state, it could take anywhere between 10 and 30 years. So you're cutting your time down from 10 to 30 years, depending on the state, to just over 1 year on average if you're a couple. Wow. So couples can afford homes, whereas individuals may struggle to save up over time to afford the home.
So what you're saying is to find a boyfriend or a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And marry them as soon as possible.
Get married, have a family, buy a home.
I love it. There you go. And we're done. That's great. That's a huge difference. Like
Huge difference.
Huge.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's something to consider. You know, it may not be for you. You may not want to do something like that, but it is something that is very beneficial to your financial scenario.
And I've had the conversation where an individual says, well, I don't want to buy because I'm going to move in a year or 2 years. Well, that's great. Now you have a rental property. Now you can rent this property out and buy another house wherever you're moving to.
Yeah.
Now you're building the generational wealth for your family.
Man, let's
kids.
talk about another crazy scenario that I just experienced for real estate agents out there. Maybe want to listen to this most. I had a seller, and they don't necessarily live too much in the property anymore. They've got a new fiance. They bought the home several years back. They've built up equity. They can sell the home for about $530,000, $540,000. They're going to walk away after they pay off their mortgage and everything with $330,000. Okay, so they've got $330,000 there, but they're sitting there and they've got an $1,100 a month mortgage payment. Okay, so they could rent it out, and on this property they could probably rent it out for only $2,300 to $2,500 because of the neighborhood. But let's say they could net, after property management fees and other stuff, somewhere around $900, $950 after they pay off their mortgage. So they can net $900 a month just renting it out and having a cash flow property. Or that seller can take that equity, cash out, go and buy an investment property for $330,000 cash, have no mortgage, have nothing, and now get $1,500 to $1,600 a month net. So the conversations we need to be having with people is what's the best utilization of their cash right now. Even if she's got a 3% mortgage right now, it's low. Even with a very low mortgage rate, she can cash out, put that money into an investment property, and make almost double the amount of money per month cash flow, getting rid of her mortgage and walking away. So there's a lot of solutions out there in the market, like assumable mortgages, thinking about things like this, that we should all be talking about so that we can get this market moving again.
Yep.
They don't need to be afraid if they can financially afford it.
That's it.
If they're smart with their money, if they're doing the right things, now's a phenomenal time to get involved and to make the right decisions. So as long as you have someone on your side that's guiding you well,
Yes.
that knows different solutions, can think of different things like what we just talked about, they can get you to a place where this is a great market to be in, whether you're a seller or a buyer.
Yeah.
There's solutions out there that people need to be considering, and it's going to be time to rock soon.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, also if you don't want to necessarily touch your interest rate, you could do a home equity line of credit, right?
Yeah.
Where you can pull out that cash. It's like a credit card, and you can go buy another investment property. This is why I think it's so important.
You got to be pretty savvy if you're doing that.
Yes, yeah. Well, this is why it's important to work with somebody who can guide you along the process. But I think if your realtor and your loan officer are working hand in hand and have the client's best interest, like, hey, what's your 5-year plan with this property? What's your 10-year plan with this property? Is this your starter home? Are you going to have kids eventually, right? Yeah. So these questions are questions that need to be asked to first-time home buyers, to move-up buyers, from loan officers and realtors, so that you guys can come up together with the best plan for your client. If your realtor or loan officer isn't having these conversations, you should go find another one.
There we go. So, what would you say buyers in this market should be considering most? What's the biggest thing that they should be considering if they're on the fence or if they want to make the right decisions? What should they be looking at?
My coaching call this week, we talked about don't necessarily sell them or talk to them about rates necessarily. Rates are important, yes, but can you afford that payment? Is this something that is still going to allow you to save, still going to allow you to live, still going to allow you to put towards retirement, whatever you need to do? Is this payment that? And if it's a yes, then let's walk you through the steps of what that looks like for you. And if it's a no, then let's find you a payment that you are comfortable with and see if there is a home on the market for that specific value. Because your payment correlates to the purchase price, right? Yeah. So I think that's the most important thing. Like 8% every year your rent's going to go up. It's not going to change.
Every year. You go 30 years out, it's 8% every year. And you got to remember that's compounding, right?
Yes. So if you're in a good position financially, credit's good, or credit's somewhat decent, you have a down payment. If you don't have the down payment, there's options for you, down payment assistance, grants, USDA loan, depending on the area. Are you seeing a lot of sellers contribute to closing costs right now?
Oh, yeah.
So you can come in.
Buy down the rate.
There you go.
Have them contribute to closing costs, save your money out of pocket.
That's it.
Yep.
It's a great time for both buyers and sellers, like you said.
Yep.
It's just what makes the most sense for you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, guys. Call us with any questions.
That's right.
Till next time. Take care, guys.